belly fat. It's unattractive, looking like an inner tube around your waist. Worse yet, it's also extremely unhealthy, putting you at risk for diabetes and heart disease. And yet, although you've tried, you can't get rid of it. Here are 13 tips to help you lose your belly fat faster without spending your entire life in the gym or being on a strict diet. Eat less calories. This is the #1 cause of belly fat, eating too many calories. Your body requires energy to function. Without it, every process in your body comes to a halt. That energy comes in the form of ATP, which can be created by various substrates. A calorie is nothing more than a unit of measurement for energy. So, when you consume more calories, energy, than your body uses throughout the day, that excess energy is stored as fat and carbohydrates. And guess where that fat is often stored? Your belly. The easiest way then to get rid of belly fat is to eat less calories than your body burns so that it has to use the stored fat to create energy to keep the body functioning properly. How many calories should you be eating per day to lose belly fat? Although there are countless equations and tests, one of the easiest and most effective formulas is to take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 10. So if you weigh 150 pounds, your daily caloric goal would be 1,500 calories, which is 150 times 10. If you aren't losing on average 1 pound per week, then you can reduce your daily calories by 500 calories. Eat less carbohydrates. Insulin resistance is another major cause of increased belly fat. Normally, when you eat carbohydrates, insulin is released and helps to clear your blood of sugar by storing it as fat or glycogen because too much sugar in your blood is toxic. However, for reasons not yet completely understood, excess calories, usually in the form of excess carbohydrates, impairs insulin's ability to clear the bloodstream of carbohydrates. Thus, your blood sugar rises and damage to your major organs occurs. The initial stages of this is called insulin resistance. It eventually develops into diabetes. So beyond eating less calories and losing weight, to minimize belly fat caused by insulin resistance, you also need to reduce your sugar intake. Removing high fructose corn syrup and other simple sugars has been shown to reduce the risk of insulin resistance, especially if they are replaced by complex carbohydrates and fiber. Perform steady state cardio. Because belly fat most often occurs when excess calories are consumed, a caloric deficit is needed to get rid of it. So, to create a caloric deficit, you have two options. You can eat less by dieting, or you can burn more calories with exercise. Performing steady-state cardio is an excellent way to burn excess calories and prevent excess energy from being stored as belly fat. What exactly is steady-state cardio? It is any cardio performed at a slower, steady pace, usually lasting between 20 to 60 minutes, although it can go as long as several hours. Biking, running, walking, and exercising on the elliptical are all forms of steady-state cardio. One thing to remember is that fat is the preferred fuel source during lower intensity cardio exercises. So the goal is to keep the intensity between 60 to 70%. Not only will that burn more fat, but because the intensity is lower, you can perform it for longer periods of time and thus burn even more calories. HIIT and belly fat. If you're crunched for time and can't exercise for an hour a day, high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, can give you the same benefits as steady-state cardio, but in half the time. How do you perform HIIT? Pick any cardio exercise like running or biking and go as hard as you can from anywhere from 10 to 40 seconds. Then rest anywhere from 2 to 3 times as long as you exercised for. Repeat that sequence for 15 to 20 minutes. The advantage that HIIT has over steady-state cardio beyond its efficiency is that you can perform it using a variety of exercises. You can use traditional steady-state exercises like running or spinning, or you can use body weight exercises like squats or burpees. You can also use traditional resistance training exercises like box jumps, medicine ball squats, or kettlebell swings. But how does HIIT burn as much fat as traditional steady-state cardio if it doesn't burn as many calories during the workout? Because the intensity is higher, HIIT results in something called exercise post-exercise oxygen consumption, also known as EPOC, which basically means your body burns extra calories after you're done exercising to return it back to normal. This can last up to 24 hours after you've finished your workout. Lifting weights and belly fat. When most people think of losing fat, they automatically think of cardio and HIIT. However, resistance training can also be an effective tool to lose belly fat. Muscle is metabolically active tissue, meaning it requires calories to maintain and function. So, the more muscle someone has, the more calories they burn not only during exercise, but more importantly, during their normal daily lives. Resistance training is the most effective type of exercise to build more muscle. Performing 2 to 3 resistance training sessions per week using 12 to 20 sets per muscle group will be more than enough to stimulate muscle gains and increase your resting metabolic rate. Sleep and belly fat. A lack of sleep or erratic sleep patterns has been shown to increase belly fat through a multiple of ways. For one, a lack of sleep results in an increase in the production of the stress hormone cortisol. Increased cortisol level results in increased fat deposition in the abdominal area. In addition to the increased cortisol levels, a lack of sleep also results in a decrease in growth hormone, which helps build muscle and lose fat. Secondly, studies have shown that a lack of sleep results in an increase in snacking, poor food decisions, and an overconsumption of calories. This results in an excess of calories and weight gain. And finally, a lack of sleep results in a reduced motivation to exercise. Most people need anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Stress and belly fat. An increase in stress, no matter if the cause is mental or physical, results in an increased production of the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol affects belly fat in 4 primary ways. For one, cortisol deposits fat specifically in the abdominal region. Secondly, increased cortisol levels break down muscle tissue. Because muscle burns calories, the less muscle you have, the less calories you burn throughout the day and during exercise. Cortisol also increases water retention, so your body can often look bloated because of the increased cortisol levels, especially in the abdomen area. And finally, increased cortisol levels increase the risk of developing insulin resistance, which also increases belly fat. Meditation, yoga, tai chi, and even daily walks outside have all been shown to reduce stress. Water and belly fat. Water helps reduce belly fat in several different ways. For one, an increased water intake has been shown to reduce cravings and thus reduce the number of calories you consume. What you'll often find is that thirst, because of dehydration, masks itself as food cravings. Secondly, dehydration can cause the body stress. Stress results in the increased production of cortisol, which increases the fat deposition in the belly area. And finally, even a 2 to 3% dehydration level can alter exercise performance and in turn decrease the number of calories you burn while exercising. You should strive to drink 1/2 to 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight daily. Thyroid and belly fat. If you asked 100 people what is the most important hormone when it comes to your metabolism, what will they say? 99 of them would probably say the thyroid hormone. And they're right. Among the many things the thyroid hormone does in the body, one of its most important functions is to regulate how many calories your body burns. If it's elevated, you burn more calories. If it's reduced, you burn less calories. Thus, it affects the single greatest factor in your ability to burn calories, your metabolic rate. Unfortunately, you won't find any supplements or nutrition tips that will help you much if your thyroid levels are low. You'll need to see your doctor for tests and a prescription medication. Testosterone and estrogen. 2 other hormones that are also important when it comes to belly fat are testosterone and estrogen. Although testosterone is usually thought of as a muscle-building hormone, on the flip side, low testosterone usually results in increased fat mass. Making matters worse, increased fat mass can decrease testosterone even further, thereby creating this vicious low testosterone, high fat cycle. While elevated testosterone results in decreased fat, elevated estrogen levels usually result in increased fat, especially in the abdominal area. And just like testosterone, a vicious cycle ensues because fat increases estrogen levels, which then increases fat, and the cycle repeats. Again, you won't find any supplements and/or nutrition tips that will help increase your testosterone if it is significantly decreased. You'll need to see your doctor for tests and a prescription medication. Highly processed foods and belly fat. Highly processed foods like donuts, cake, and chips are extremely calorie-dense foods. Because they're highly processed, they also usually lack fiber, and as a result, cause you to overconsume calories because the body's mechanisms that control satiety do not work well with these types of food. The number 1 cause of belly fat is consuming more calories than you are burning. Highly processed foods are the reason it is impossible to outtrain a bad diet. You simply cannot exercise enough to burn all of the excess calories found in those foods. So, replacing those foods with foods that are high in fiber like fruit, vegetables, and whole grains will reduce the number of calories you consume and help you lose belly fat. Increase NEAT. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically, it's all the ways you burn calories outside of sleeping and exercising. What's interesting about NEAT is that research has shown that increasing NEAT can decrease belly fat just as much as exercise. More importantly though, NEAT does not require equipment and anyone can do it no matter your limitations. So, how can you increase NEAT? Instead of sitting at work, you can stand and burn more calories. Instead of taking the elevator, you can take the stairs. Mowing your grass with a push mower instead of a riding lawnmower also burns more calories. Bicycling to work instead of driving will also increase NEAT. Although at first glance, those changes seem too simple to make a difference, over time, those changes will add up to a significant amount of calories burned and a reduction in your belly fat. Avoid mindless eating. Mindless eating is any meal or snack where you eat while doing something else. You could be watching TV, reading the newspaper, or scrolling through social media. Research has shown that when we are distracted by something while eating, we will often eat more because we are not paying attention to our body's signals that we're full. How many times have you grabbed a bag of popcorn and sat down to watch your favorite television show, only to realize that by the end of the show, you have eaten the entire bag without realizing it? It happens to everyone. Instead, focus on eating without any distractions. Take your time, pay attention, chew every piece slowly. Let the signals that your stomach sends to your brain notifying you that you are full reach it before you overeat. Conclusion. Using the 13 tips mentioned above, you can get rid of belly fat not only faster, but more importantly, you can keep it off forever.